Let's go proc gen. Let's go proc gen. Hello everyone and welcome to the devlog for build number 6 of Zen Forest Brickbreaker. The main feature of this build is, of course, the start of the proc gen. I finally got that working. It is nowhere near complete, but it is functional. So the proc gen is going to be used for the play 15 random levels, as well as the endless mode and Zen mode. So right now we're in Zen mode, and I've set the triggers to generate a new level instead of launching the ball, so that we can just look at the proc gen levels over and over. There are not many prefabs right now, so you'll see the same patterns over and over again. Putting in the prefabs is like the last thing to do, because it's actually easier to test when there's only a handful of prefabs, because then you know exactly what they're supposed to look like. Like right here we have a horizontal prefab, we have a diagonal prefab, another diagonal in the back, and a small walls prefab. So the first thing the proc gen does is it picks a level concept, which is like an overarching design for the level, and then it will go through and fill it out with semi-randomized prefabs depending on the concept, and then it will eventually validate the level to make sure it has enough bricks, it doesn't have too many bricks, it doesn't have like bricks that are blocked by walls, things like that. The validation is not online right now, but with the patterns being so simple, we shouldn't really have any validation issues anyway. That is more important once you have like a lot of complex prefabs interacting with each other. So you just pull the trigger and we can generate a new one. This is a vertical concept, which we don't actually have any vertical walls. I'm guessing that's supposed to be the vertical wall. I don't know why it's cut off, but there are also void prefabs which delete bricks, so it could be that it was deleted by a void prefab. But we have that's not actually a horizontal line. It was a horizontal line, but then something got added here. I'm not sure what's going on with this map. Large shape. The large shape is this diamond right here. It's actually 3 different colors, but it randomizes the colors to a slight degree. So it just happened to roll red for all 3 colors. I do want to work on that and make sure it doesn't roll like the same colors over and over again. But we actually have a second large shape prefab right here, which got cut by this first one. So some of the prefabs have voids built into them. So like this diamond will cut a diamond void out just to give the shape more like definition. Because if we had like a giant diamond here and another one here, they would just mash together. So that's what we got here, plus a horizontal line. And no, that's actually a small shapes one because it has a different color in the middle. It's actually 2 small squares. So small shapes, 2 large diamonds. Small shapes, we got the small shape here. Another small shape that got cut off by the one in front. And 2 small walls in the back. Another small shapes, we got small shape in the back, horizontal line, and then the small wall in front. Horizontal, 3 horizontal lines. It's actually supposed to generate a random one in addition to that, but it probably generated a void, or maybe something that got overwritten by one of the lines. Diagonal, we got a small shapes that rolled green for both colors, and a diagonal that rolled red for both colors. Large shape, we got another large diamond that rolled the same color for all 3 colors. There are supposed to be 3, I swear. Random adds a few random bricks here and there. So like this blue brick, this green brick, these green bricks. They're not actually part of a prefab, they're just randomly generated. And then we got the small shapes prefabs in the front and back, not too bad. Vertical, again, this is supposed to be, the vertical prefab is 10 bricks in a row, so we're either getting really unlucky with the vertical prefab or something is wrong with it. I do not know. Small shapes, we got small shapes in the back, diagonal in front, and it looks like maybe a horizontal one that got cut off. Vertical, again, no vertical. I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with the vertical prefab. Diagonal, we got a diagonal here, small shapes in the back. You'll also notice that the prefabs can be shifted left, right, up, or down. So like this one got cut off because it's at the end of the playfield. So the proc gen does account for excluding bricks that are outside of the playfield. So there's quite a bit of variation that can occur. Alright, large shape, we got a 2-color diamond, horizontal wall, and a small shape in the back. Vertical, again, I'm pretty sure these single ones are supposed to be vertical prefabs. They're supposed to be 10 in a row. There's definitely something wrong with that. I'll have to look into it. Alright, but yeah, that is the beginnings of the proc gen system. I just need to add a lot more prefabs, add validation, add some color correcting, so that we don't get like that horizontal one is 2 blues again. It's like there's a lot of prefabs that end up being the same color. So definitely want to work on that. But now we're going to jump out of VR for the first time, and we can look at how the prefabs are actually made. Alright, so here we are in the editor, so we can look at how prefabs work. Over here in the project files, we have a prefabs folder with a procgen folder and a separate folder for each type of prefab. Diagonal lines, horizontal lines, vertical lines, large shapes, small shapes, voids, large walls, and small walls. Right now there's only one of each type. Like I said, it's easier to test this when you know exactly what the patterns are supposed to look like. But eventually there will be many different types of prefabs for all of these folders. But for right now we'll just make one for demonstration purposes. So up here we got the procgen manager in the hierarchy, and below that a prefab template, which is turned off when the game is actually running, but we use it to make new prefabs, so we can click to go to it and get a top-down view. And this represents all of the brick spaces in the level. We have 7 columns, 20 rows. So once you decide on a pattern, you can just go through and click all of the bricks you need for the pattern, and you can see it's highlighting them all while holding control, and then you can just make a new prefab. You can duplicate these and make a new prefab out of the duplicated bricks. So for right now, we're going to make a new horizontal row. So we also need to think about what kind of voids we want, which are going to delete any existing bricks. So with this one we're going to try to use every brick type, including walls. So we want voids above and below it, because walls can be tricky if you end up blocking bricks. It doesn't look very good, even though you can kill the bricks behind walls with power-ups. It's just not really desirable. So we're going to make a wall that's 3 rows wide and a void on top and bottom. So that's going to be 5 rows starting from the top. We can do row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 0 obviously. And duplicate these. Drag it out to the procgen manager. And then create an empty parent. And then this is going to be our new prefab. So we want to name it in accordance to the other prefabs, which is line horiz 2, I believe. And then we can turn off the prefab template. So we just have the prefab we're making. And then we go to materials, and we have our brick materials. So we can just drag these right onto the bricks we want, or we can control click and then drag it up to the materials here. Anything with the grass texture is going to be a void, which will delete any existing bricks. So we can just leave the voids as grass. The color doesn't really matter here because, like I said before, the brick colors will be re-rolled. So it will keep the pattern of each one having its own color, but they can't change the color when it's generated. So that is the basic prefab. And we just need to add a script to this, which we go to our scripts, and this is the procgen prefab script. And this will have all of the variables that are needed for the procgen to place and scan the prefab. So we got the size of columns, which is 7. The size of rows, which is 5. The minimum row possible, which is how high it can be on the playing field or how far back. And the maximum row possible, which is how far forward. Alright, I said we were going to add walls to this. So back to the materials we go. We're going to add brick 9, which is a horizontal wall, to a few of these. Maybe we'll put these off center so we have it like this. And then brick 8 is the vertical wall, so just for aesthetic purposes. Alright, so that should do it for the materials. And then back to the script, we have the minimum row possible. We can actually go up 1 to delete this void. So minimum row is actually -1. And then maximum row is how far down the field it can go. And this top row is going to be the location of the prefab. So if we set this to 19, which is the maximum, then it's only going to display this row of void tiles, and the brick tiles are going to be completely negated. So that's not desirable. We actually want to go up 3. So this would be 19, 18, 17, 16. Minimum column possible, which is how far left. Maximum column possible, how far right. We actually don't want this to move right or left at all, so we're going to leave these at 0. So this first column is always in the 0 column. And that does it for the prefab, so we can just go down here to the folders. Lines horizontal. Make sure I name that correctly. Lines horizontal. Not that it matters. And that is our prefab. So to add it to the proc gen, we just go up here. We have lines horizontal. Currently the array only has 1 element, so we add the second element. And that's it. Now, whenever the proc gen calls for a horizontal prefab, it has a chance of picking any of these 2. And that's it. So we can actually delete this since it's now in the prefabs folder. It's not needed in the world anymore. So from here on out, the main work is just making the proc gen as robust as possible, implementing that validation, implementing lots more prefabs, and testing it and balancing it, seeing how everything goes. And once that's done, the game should be very close to completion, and it should be time to start looking for a store page. Very exciting times. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please tune in again next time.